listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From Los Angeles, California, and Maria Menounos, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On. Spotlight On is a long-form interview series featuring actors and TV personalities. And now, from the world's #1 TV after-show platform, this is AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On.
Hey everyone, you're watching Spotlight On. I'm Daryl Kristen, and here joining me today is Cesar Millan, who is the new star of his own show, Cesar 911. How you doing, Cesar?
Thank you very much.
We are really excited to have you here. I was just watching your episode the other night, and I can't stop watching the show. It's just unbelievable. How did you initially get your full start in the industry? I know that you grew up in Mexico.
Yes.
You worked on your grandfather's farm.
That's correct.
And then you were known as the dog boy. Was
El
that
Perrero.
Yep. I don't have the nice roll on my tongue like that. I need to get that roll.
Okay.
Now, how did you get that name initially?
Well, actually, El Perrero wasn't a good thing to be called. It was a kid that smelled like dogs or was followed by dogs. You know, back in the days when I was at that age, dogs were not as cool as they are now, you know, in my country. And that's one of the reasons why I came to America, because in America, you guys had Lassie and Rin Tin Tin at that time. So I wanted to train with those people who were able to have such an amazing relationship and condition the dogs to do amazing things that I've never seen in my life. So I got that nickname because dogs will follow me. And not because I asked them to follow me, they just follow me. But it wasn't seen as a cool thing. Now I'm called the dog whisperer.
The dog whisperer. And I know you ended up obviously in LA and you started working at a dog grooming store. And then one of your first big clients was Will and Jada Smith. Now, how did that initial relationship start? Like, how did you go from working in a dog grooming store to meeting them?
Oh, many years later, you know, the dog grooming facility was in San Diego, and that was a step after I crossed the border. And so I made a little money there. Then, because my journey was Disneyland or Hollywood, for me that was where I was going to find Lassie and Rin Tin Tin.
Yeah.
And after that, I became the Mexican guy who can walk a pack of dogs before I met Jade and Will. And so through that, back in those times, the Lakers used to play at the Greatest Forum, and so the NBA players will send their PAs and to find out about this Mexican guy, because most of the brothers have Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, and German Shepherds. You know what I mean? And so I was the crazy Mexican guy who can put, you know, this powerful breed together, which is unusual. You know, because in people's frame of mind, they will kill each other.
Yeah.
So I developed a reputation by doing something that nobody was doing. It was walking, you know, all these powerful breeds. Then I met a dog named Kenji. Kenji. And when I went and gave a demonstration back, Jada and Tupac they were there when I was giving the demonstration, and Jada came to me and say, when I have a dog, I want you to train him. I did a good job, and she loved what I did. And so like about a month later, she called me and said, you know, I have my dog, come and pick him up.
Oh, wow.
But that time, I still don't know who Jada Pinkett was, you know. And then, but a month later, she said, my boyfriend has 2 Rottweilers, and they really need you. And Jay Leno gave those 2 Rottweilers to Will. So then I met Will Smith.
Wow.
So that's thanks to a dog, you know, pretty much. That's who introduced me to all these great people.
And then with so much skill that you've had, where did you initially kind of get your full training from? Like, how did you know at one point in your life that you were going to do this for a career? Like, when did you come to that realization?
I think the desire came when I was 13 years old, and because I was walking in Mazatlan, where I'm from, and I was going to a judo competition, and I told my mom, you think I can be the best dog trainer in the world? And she turned around and she said, you can do whatever you want. So that really helped. She didn't know what that was, because nobody wanted to be a dog trainer in that time.
Right.
You know, but because the way I said it, I guess she really didn't want to like ask me what is it that I'm asking. She just agreed with me.
Yeah.
So my goal in life became at 13 years of age.
Wow.
I think it's a very common thing, because now that I hear a lot of people they have achieved their goal, they do it at around 13, 14. They decide, I want to be a singer, I want to be this, I want to be that. and I want to be an actor. And so it's always at that teenager, moment of their life. Yeah. So, but to me, it was to be the best dog trainer in the world.
And then you eventually opened up a dog psychology center in South Los Angeles.
That's right.
And I know that you specialized in larger breed dogs, or it seemed like I think I read larger breed dogs versus smaller breed. And with that, why was it larger breeds? Because it seems like those smaller breeds have so much personality sometimes and are harder to train.
The thing is, little dogs get away with a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like a little dog, if they do something, they look cute. Or people carry them like a baggage. You know what I mean? And that's how they deal with the situation. Then they start petting the dog as the dog is trying to attack a person or a dog. You know, and they make a lot of excuses for the little dog. Well, people with bigger dogs they can't make excuses because a lawsuit is on their way.
That's true.
You see what I mean? You don't get sued if a little dog bites. You know, you get reprimanded, or like people will fight with you, but they won't sue you.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's a different frame, different level of fear that a bigger dog. So my expertise wasn't so much about big dogs. My expertise was more about aggressive dogs.
Yeah.
You know, so I became known about the guy who can actually work with aggressive dogs. And remember, in America, when a dog bites, is a lawsuit or is a death, you know, euthanization.
Yeah.
And so either or are pretty bad. So by the time that the dogs arrive in South Central, it was already a lawsuit or like people were asking the person to put the dog down. And either or is a very painful, emotional moment for people. So I became the guy who, could you go? You know, and he's going to make things happen. And but that was after like 4 or 5 trainers. But by the time they came to me, they said, you know what, I tried it. I tried everything except walking a dog with a pack of dogs.
Yeah.
You know, which that's actually my best tool I have, beside my knowledge and the energy. But it's the pack. The pack really helps to bring a dog back into his natural way of being. You know, if you want the dog to become social, he needs to be around his own kind.
Yeah.
You know, so most dogs in America, they live separate, right? And so every once in a while they go and gather in what people call dog park. But most of the time they bring dogs to a dog park super excited, and super excited dogs go into a fight or chase each other.
Yeah.
So it's not a social environment. It's just almost like you bring them into a gladiator place. You know, that it has a combination of Chuck E. Cheese. You know, right? It's like Chuck E. Cheese is an excitement environment, and then when you bring dogs in an excited environment, you're asking predator to coexist with each other.
That's true.
And that's what is the inclination to gladiator.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, especially when you go to like dog parks, you see those just massive amount of just variations of dogs, and some more aggressive than others. But it seems like it's almost like they're all excited, like a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant.
It's not that they are aggressive, because they don't enter aggressive; they enter excited. So when you have an accumulation of too much excitement, and they start controlling each other by stealing each other's toys, or not allowing to drink water. All of that is dominant territorial.
Yeah.
So once you have too many dominant territorial minds in one place, they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
That happens in bars. That happens in parties. That happens everywhere. When you accumulate dominance in territorial, it's gonna be a fight.
That's true.
You see, and so because dogs don't rationalize, the only inclination is to react towards, so they can settle things out.
That's true.
You see, they're not going to hire a lawyer and say, wait a minute, from this time to this time, I pee in this tree. You know what I mean? You know, they just don't have that kind of, they're going to do it right there. And so, and most of the time, when people bring dogs to the dog park, they bring their cup of coffee, they sit down on the bench, they read a newspaper, so they're not supervising.
Yeah, they're not paying attention.
They're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And most of the time, dogs are separated by a cup of coffee. Starbucks people versus Winchell Donut people. It's not a social place, man. It's not a social place. People don't really know each other.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, like the pit bull people going with the pit bull people, the chihuahua with the chihuahua people, and then the poodle with the poodle, and then the mutts with the mutts. And they don't coexist.
And then they always say, I've read that a lot of dogs react off of how the humans kind of act. So if they're in a dog park and they're playing around and the human seems to be, or their owner seems to be nervous, that the dogs react off of that as well. Is that a true statement, or is that...
Who you are in the animal world is energy. They don't know what you do for a living.
Yeah.
You know, fearful people are very aware that they can cause a bite.
Yeah.
They're very aware. And the one who are not aware is people who love dogs, because they think just because they love dogs, they should be okay with them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and so it's actually a person who do you know some people don't like dogs?
Yeah.
Right.
I have friends who
Yeah.
don't
They
like
just
my
don't like
yeah.
dogs, and the dogs know it.
Yeah.
And they keep distance, right? Just the person from a distance, way before entering into your house, I don't want to touch the dog.
Yeah.
Right. So that person projects that. Dog lovers go, oh my God! They actually create the worst reunion or moment for the dog because the dog becomes super excited and disrespect personal space.
Right.
And then they go off, off, off. So it confuses the dog. So you see what I'm saying? So it's a moment where you want them to invade your space, and then you want them to move away from your space. But that confuses a dog. So it's best if you begin by asking the dog to give you space. That's right. And from the beginning, that's why I do no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Right? Every time I come to people's home, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. When I came to your office, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. You have dogs.
Yeah.
And so what that allows the dog is to smell me and feel me. They don't know my name is Cesar Millan. They don't know the world calls me the dog. They don't know I have a TV show.
Yeah.
What they know is how I relate to them.
Yeah.
So if I relate to them in an excited way, they're going to believe that that's what I want every single time. But if I behave calm, I can always bring excitement.
That makes sense.
So calmness first, then excitement. So if you want to teach kids to be safe, teach them no touch, no talk, no eye contact. America has a bad habit, in my opinion, to teach a kid to ask if you can pet the dog. The dog is going to tell you if you can. Don't ask the human. Evaluate the dog. Yeah, your dog is going to give you eye contact and say, look, I'm nervous about you. Don't even ask. Right. You know what I mean? Or if a dog is already keen on you, and if you come forward, he's going to bite. He's already telling you from a that's right. You see, you're experiencing this. But most parents teach kids, ask if you can pet him. Be polite. That's not polite in the dog world.
Yeah.
That's polite in the human world because we rationalize. So that's why it's not good to humanize a dog because they have their own identity. They're not less than us. They just have their own identity, right? We're very respectful with elephants. We're very respectful with tigers. We're very respectful with horses. But we're not as respectful with dogs because we want to change their identity.
That's true. I mean, and I guess everybody feels like that is the right way to do it, but it's really clearly the wrong way to.
Well, dogs in our
country
are skinny, but they don't have psychological problems. Dogs in America are chunky, and I have a TV show.
That's true.
You see what I mean? So it's
Good
not
point.
the dog. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? It's the way the dog is treated.
Yeah.
The way the dog is allowed to be himself or not allowed to be himself. When people change your identity, you have no choice just to become confused, and confusion will lead you to two ways: depression or aggression.
Yeah.
That's it.
No in between.
No in between. Just
Yeah.
it's no. I mean, if you're in between, you're completely lost.
You're lost.
Yeah.
Now, in 2002, you started The Dog Whisperer. The pilot came out. It was a huge success.
Yeah.
And now, how did the relationship start for you and National Geographic Channel? Because I know that was where it first lived.
That's what it has lived National Geographic, and then moved to Nat Geo.
Nat Geo.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, they didn't know what to make of me. You know what I mean? Because it was unusual. It's something new. What do you mean, a guy that rehabilitates dogs and he's Mexican? You know, it's unusual. You know, but I guess they like the way I came across. You know, and they love the transformations and I use a lot of common sense. You know, everything that I use is you can scientifically prove it. You know, packs, leadership, and rules, boundaries, limitations, the reward. You know, we all work for food and water. We get paid later. You know, we have to actually do the job. So I start mentioning formulas that actually will change and educate people. So it became a show that not just entertains people, but educates people.
Yeah. And that's important. And then, like, with that, you had such a huge success. As I mentioned, you were #1, and then you were in 80 different countries and just all over the world. How did it feel to, like, have that overnight success? I mean, you went from, you know, people not necessarily knowing you name every day to everyone loving you. How did that feel?
Well, everybody knows that it's never an overnight success.
Right.
You know, it's, you know, you've been doing it for a while. It's just now people get to see it. It's a bigger platform, right? But I think it's a labor of being focused. You know, I think since I don't go outside and experiment with alcohol and drugs and anything. I stay very focused on the goal. You know, I want to rehabilitate dogs. I want to train people. I want to educate the world. I want to transform. And I think that pays off. You know, I think that. And also the fact that I surround myself with people who believe in that concept. You know, who you surround yourself, you know, who's your pack is also going to influence your growth. And so I take a lot of the knowledge that I learned from dogs and apply it to my business life and to my, the way I parent, the way I relate with people. If some people have a bad energy, I'd rather not be around, because if they can't change, I'm not gonna change them. I can change a dog, but I can't change a human unless the human is willing to do it.
Sure.
So you have to read all of that and feel it and just move on. Right away.
And was it overwhelming for you to have that, just everyone know you and just want to be around you at that point? I mean, like we were mentioning kind of before, you can't go to a restroom in an airport without being stopped by someone who wants to ask you a question or shake your hand. So that changes your life so much. And how did that feel for you?
That's an adjustment that you have to do, obviously, because people have this admiration. At the same time, they have a question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love you. I'm so sorry but I have a question. So they're really, really, really polite, and then they ask you a question. And it's funny. I mean, you just learn to adapt.
Yeah.
You have to surrender that this is something that comes with the territory. And when you're not feeling well, there is moments that if you travel for 13, 14 hours, you're not gonna feeling like talking or anything like that, and you have the rights to say you don't feel well. Without being disrespectful, of course. And I have never been disrespectful.
And then I know that on your show you've utilized two of your dogs, Daddy and Junior, a lot for the training. What is it that you like working with the pit terrier breed that helps you with training other dogs?
I think many people would appreciate the do you remember Petey from the Little Rascals?
I do.
That was a pit bull. It was another pit bull that was a hero called Stubby, and Sergeant Stubby, and that was in World War II. Okay. So pit bulls at one point were heroes and were movie stars, but that's because they were with certain people. So they created that outcome. Then the pit bulls end up with people they don't have good intention for them, so they develop bad reputation.
Yeah.
Right. In the 70s, the Doberman was the breed that people became afraid of.
Yeah.
Before that was the German Shepherd, because it was used for riots. Yeah. And then it was the Rottweiler. So what I want you to see is how in history the only thing we have done is blame a different breed from our ignorance. Mm-hmm. You see it? So I said, well, right now the pit bull is the breed that people are afraid the most. So let me make him my right hand. And as a Mexican and a pit bull, transforming, changing, sharing, because we also have bad reputation as Mexicans, you know what I mean? In Arizona, we're not, too welcome. And so I want to, I think it's a perfect team, because I have gone through that same experience, and so a pit bull doesn't have, or a dog doesn't have the ability to hire a civil rights lawyer, right. Somebody to march for them.
Right.
And so the only way he can actually make it if it's a human actually partners with him. Mm-hmm. So it really has to do a lot with I love a quote from Gandhi: "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated." Yes.
That's a great quote.
So that's Gandhi. So if you treat animals that way, you're going to treat humans the same way. If you treat human that way, you're going to treat animals the same way. Yeah, absolutely. It's very relative to it. And so it's very important that we don't see the breed or the race as we see the individual.
Yeah.
Each individual can make a difference. It has nothing to do with his race.
That's
or his breed. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying that I can relate to it.
Yeah. Is within those different breeds, though, is there one in particular that you feel is a little bit more challenging in training versus another, or it's pretty much just like the rules that you're saying? They're all the same. It's just a matter on how they're properly trained.
Animal, dog, breed, name. They're all dogs.
Yeah.
So before they're breed, they're dogs. So if you give the same rules, boundaries, and limitations to all dogs, no matter what breed they are, so it doesn't matter what race you are, you have the same rules, boundaries, and limitations when you're driving.
Yeah.
You break them, you don't get a citation because you're black or you're Mexican or you're white. It's because you broke the rules.
Right.
That's right. So race or breed is completely separate from what makes us all the same human being. In this case, they're all dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all pee on a tree.
Yeah.
Right? And one thing that everybody will agree worldwide is nobody wants a dog to pee inside the house, no matter what breed they are.
That is true.
That's right. So it has nothing to do with breed. That's why I don't think it's important to learn about breed as much as it's to learn about dogs. They're all dogs. Like when a Chihuahua meets a Rottweiler, they say, "Are you a Rottweiler?" No, what they know is the energy of the Rottweiler. And most of the time, little dogs are the one that instigate fights.
Yes.
Okay? And why? Because most of the time they get away with a lot of things, so they actually take it as a dominant behavior. You know, people with little dogs encourage dominance. Mm-hmm. People with big dogs, they discourage dominance. Consciously or unconsciously. They have a big dog that can drag them down the street.
Yeah.
You see it? And so it's very important that we understand to see how they see it. A cat is not prejudiced. So when a cat sees a pit bull, he says, "Oh, that's a pit bull. He's going to kill me." No. What he feels is the intention of a pit bull.
Right.
You see what I mean? Or the intention of a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very important that we actually learn to understand how simple it is to have a relationship with dogs. That's why I don't train dogs.
Yeah.
You know, I rehabilitate it, meaning I restore back to their natural state.
Yeah. And what do you think is the biggest mistake that people really make when they are...
Oh my God, it's too many. Number one is in a family, for example, there is no agreement. For example, mom and dad and the kids want a dog. Well, the mom knows the kids are not responsible, but the dad still get the dog. See, there's no agreement. So the dog entered into a place where there's no agreement. The mom now has a resentment. Yes? Now, so if you don't have an agreement, you can't have commitment. If you can't have commitment, you can't follow through. Yeah. If you can't follow through, you can't be patient because you're already resentful.
Yeah, that's true.
You see what I'm saying? So that will be a big mistake. Not only that is a big mistake, but they humanize a dog, or they enter into a relationship with a species that they don't know anything about it. But everybody wants what? They want housebreak, right?
Yeah.
But they don't understand the mechanics of how the digestion system works. So then there's that. So should I smack him? Should I put the nose in the poop and all of those things? That just shows you that they don't know the digestion system. Because it's a very simple. 2 weeks is maximum what should take anybody to housebreak a dog. It's 14 repetitions. Yeah. It's not a lot, you know, if you think about it. So and then the dog learn. Okay, so I get fed. 5 to 30 minutes later, I have a digestion system. Which, by the way, this is the norm. After you feed a dog, 5 minutes to 30 minutes, they have a digestion, a bowel movement. Yeah. It's your job to see the first day is at a 5, 10, 6, whatever it is. And then the next day, you know at what time he's going to have a bowel movement. Then you take him to the place. Yes. And then repetitions of that. And then the dog says, okay, food, I go there. Food, I go there. Food, I go there. And that's it. It's not hard. The thing is that people expect to tell the dog once. And then for the dog, but they don't rationalize. Yeah. So how, you know, it takes a long time to have potty train a kid.
That's true. And the dog's no different.
Months. The dog is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But they actually become more compassionate or empathy towards a child than a dog.
Yeah. And there's a lot of misconceptions I feel like I've read and just seen about just how to train a dog and how much memory they retain in the sense of discipline. How do dogs really? I mean, I know it's about repetition, but do they really recall? Like when say a dog has done something on your couch or peed on your carpet, and you scold them or discipline them at that time, is that something that they remember that they've continued to do, or like that they continue to do, or is it something that it's? How do you discipline something?
You have to catch them in the act. You're talking about somebody who reacts. Yeah. They're not thinking. So they can't go and reflect, oh my God, you're right, that's a carpet, it costs you this much money, I'm not going to do it anymore. Yeah. See, that takes reflection. Yeah. You know, and that's why time out might work with kids, right? But it does not work with dogs. You can't remind, who did this? Who did this? And the dogs start getting like confused. Oh my God, the human is like creeping me out. You know what I mean? I don't know
like, what is this person doing?
Yeah, what is he tense? Because if that was the case, many people will solve the problem because they do that all the time. Yeah. Mikey, did you did this? And the next day, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. And no, you have to catch the animal in the act. Animals are really good to each other. They catch each other in the act. That's how they mold each other's behavior. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so once they're ready to depart from each other, and then the behavior is already formed. But when dog lives with human goes away, come back, and no supervision.
That's true.
You see what I mean? So you can't go away until you develop a healthy habit. Yeah. But most people are not really like, they don't plan this adoption properly, right? They do it out of emotion. I have to rescue a dog.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? They go rescue a dog, they feel bad about it, boom, then go to work.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this dog, la, 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 la. But they didn't prepare themselves to what the needs of a dog are. You know, what makes a dog stay balanced, what makes a dog understand, you know, to stay clean, because they're very clean naturally. But if you leave them in one place too long, they have no choice.
That's
and
true.
then and they develop a habit. Okay, if I have a bowel movement, I'm just going to do it right here.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
And we didn't like it that she did it on our couch or our floor.
That's right. Then the people start saying, yep, I knew. And the dog felt that because I left him, he pooped right there. It's like some kind of resentful thing or like revenge kind of thing. No, that's
I've even thought the same thing. I'm like, I know my dog knows what she's doing. You know, I feel like she keeps doing it on purpose, like she's angry at me for something.
Yeah, but that's a good story. I mean, but that doesn't really solve the problem.
That's true.
Yeah. You know.
And then you moved on to kind of the publishing and magazine, where you have Cesar's Way magazine, which is a huge success as well. What made you want to venture off into that side of the business as well?
Well, I think there's many different ways that you can reach out to people. So many people like to read, many people like to listen, you know, hear. Some people like the hands-on. I mean, human learn by observing, reading, and listening, and hands-on. So you have to. I want to cover all the areas where. As an educator, I want to be able to provide to people. You know what I mean? I want to be able to provide the philosophies and the steps and the manuals and the formulas and all of those things that are necessary, so you have a point of reference.
Yeah, and then you have 6 books and
seven
books, and you have a best-selling author in the New York Times. Now, how do you balance all of these things? I know you're going on tours, you're going to speak to people, you're writing books. We hear dogs in the background as well. They're agreeing with us.
Yeah.
How do you balance all of that schedule?
I think that for that you require a good group of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like to do everything, and so I hire pack leaders, and so you know, people that are masters in that area, and you give them an idea, and then they take it and they bring it back. So you can do a lot of things at once. You know what I mean? Yeah. Definitely, you have to have priorities, and as a dad, obviously, my son's development is my priority, and then is my relationship with my girlfriend, and then is business. So in that order, so that way they feel number one. You know, because you can get into the workaholic state, which I did it, and won't work. You know, because you're prioritizing more like a self project than a pack project.
And what's been the most gratifying part of your job?
Being a father.
Being a father.
Yeah, because you know I'm capable to give my kids an opportunity that I never had, but at the same time I can give them the wisdom, and at the same time they have to work for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know what it is to be in the bottom, what to be in the middle, what to be in the top, what to go right back into the bottom, get me out of the bottom, and come right back. So I'm a very wise dad, and I think that's one of the biggest joy. You want to have their answers. You know what I mean? As a dad, you want to have the answers. You want to let them, you know, go through the experience. That's right. Do your thing, and you learn on your own. I told you so. You know, but you gotta learn to walk on your own. And I think that is the next generation. For me, is really fascinating that they can actually be smart, be humble, and understand that there is a lot to do for humankind.
Yeah.
You know, I want him to know that we're here for the pack.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of selfish people up there, but I want him to absorb the part that to be pack-oriented, not self-oriented.
And as you were speaking about packs, and we see that you're such a great pack leader on your shows, how does that translate in your home life? Is that like, you know, we always talk about and joke about like kids and how they view their parents, and do you take your same philosophies that you teach while you're working in your home life as well with your family?
Hell yeah.
He did that with a straight face.
Look,
that was the easy response.
Listen, I think I have the right frame of mind to be the pack leader. I went through a lot of things, and I'm a very fair dad. You know what I mean? I set it up in a way so you actually answer your own question.
Yeah.
You know, but it's my responsibility to give direction and protection. You know, of course. this is my first time being a dad. I've been I raised many hundreds of dogs, so I have a lot of experience of dogs. This is my first 2 kids in my life, so I can also learn from it. You know what I mean? I don't have this perception like I'm going to tell them everything. No, because I don't know everything. You know, so I can be calm, assertive, as well. I can be calm, submissive. Yeah. You know, so I can follow direction. I can listen. Most of the time, it's just a matter of listening. Yeah. And then you see where they are mentally and why they are in a fight-flight avoidance thing. You know what I mean? How you bring it back to surrender and let's go move together. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to play both roles. You know, you have to lead and then you have to listen, which is when you enter into a follower state.
And since you're such a public figure and in the public eye all of the time, how is it dealing with just media and just keeping your personal life separate from what's reported in the news and watching your show? Like, how do you deal with just the privacy of wanting to maintain that privacy in your life?
I think I have something that a lot of, I guess, people in the media don't have, which is, I have dogs and I know dogs, and the people who actually put the media up there are people that have dogs. So they love me, you know what I mean? So 99% of the people that does the media, they love me. And so they're actually in my favor. So I don't have a lot of problems with it. I don't have a problem with that world. Yeah. You know.
And then, well, even with, I know that your son recently was on Cesar 911. Yeah. Do you ever worry about them being on the public eye? I know a lot of TV stars want to keep their families away from any kind of media association with them. Has that ever been an issue for you?
Well, I have 2 kids. The older one doesn't want nothing to do with the media, and so we respect that. And the younger one, that's the one that's in the show all the time. He loves that world, and because of that, he's going to have his own show. Yeah. Yeah. So plus, you know, he's asking for more money nowadays. So it's like, go get your own money. Go get your own money, dude. And so you know, we prepare him. You know, it's funny because I told the story to them, my story about when I was 13 years old. So they hear the story since they were little. And when he was 13, we were in Newcastle, Australia, and he turned 13 there, and he said, I wanna tell you what I want to be in life. And so he said, I want to be better than you. Wow. And I want to have my own show. And from that point on, we started working on it.
That's great.
That's not bad.
Hey, at 13, you back to that age of 13.
That's right. That's what he believed, that you have to make a wish when you were 13. Yeah. So I didn't know until he turned 13. I thought he was never listening to what I was saying. But you never know. I mean, sometimes it takes a long time for you to see what you have created.
Yeah. And then now you have your new show, Cesar 911, which is I'm obsessed with, and many are. Now, what can fans expect this season for the show, first of all?
I think, you know, besides the transformation, what people are aware that I can do is now I'm going to rehabilitate people. I'm really going to focus more on how we human influence the behavior of our dogs. You know, most people have bad habits, and I'm going to show you those bad habits, how those bad habits are built. I want to show the world now more about that we need to take responsibility of ourselves, you know, and so you're gonna see that more. We're gonna focus more on the human, and that's what the show you like about the Greek guy and how he thought that their dogs were perfect, but everybody around him was thinking otherwise, you know. So it took me a 101, you know, mano a mano, Griego to Mexican, and let's talk about guys, and let's think about the pack. Yeah. You know, you think, and so the guy slowly, to the point, he gave me a big hug and a big kiss and said, man, I never thought of that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? So sometimes just to be a little seeds of honesty, but without harming the person, without making them guilty, without judging them, just making them aware. And I think that's what people are going to love the most.
And why did you kind of switch the format? I mean, you obviously had successful years with Dog Whisperer. Why did you change the format for this show?
Because I wanted to focus more on the human, you know, and Dog Whisperer is about a guy that comes and rehabilitate a dog. And yes, I train people and rehabilitate dogs, but you never saw me rehabilitating a person.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So now you're gonna see. It's almost like Star Wars going backwards kind of thing. You know what I mean? Which now is like, okay, this is the beginning. You know, this is the beginning. This is what we should be focusing. You know, but you know, things happen for a reason, and that's. I think we're going in depth. It's like we're peeling the onion, and we're going right to the roots. And so a lot of dogs, if a dogs can actually send me a text, there will be a lot of texts saying, "Thank you, Cesar, finally."
I needed this help.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming in my home.
We're not going to be blamed. We're not going to be killed just because people blame us.
And in addition to being the star of your own show, you also made several TV appearances. You've done movies. Is that something that you'd like to continue with in your career? And would you like to maybe venture off and do even more bigger roles? Or how?
You know what? I love my favorite movie is The Doberman Gang. I wish they can do like the redone, like, you know, the Doberman Gang, like they did Karate Kid with Jaden. Have you ever seen Doberman Gang?
I have not.
Oh,
but
man.
now
So
I feel like I need to see
It's a pack
it.
of Dobermans that rob a bank in 1973. It's just amazing. It's a pack, you know what I mean? And you don't get to see, even nowadays, you get to see dogs sitting down, like a Beverly Hills Chihuahua sitting down, facing them, barking. But you can see how each dog is controlled by a handler. At least I can see it. But with the Dobermans, it's a pack listening to one person.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of work. And they rob a bank. Not that robbing a bank is the right thing to do, but just the way they did it, and it's a powerful, breed performing.
Yeah.
And I would like to do that, or I would like to, yes, movies. Yes, I would like to do movies.
Cesar the Superstar movie next. I see in the headlines.
Something.
And then also you have your foundation.
Yeah.
The Cesar Millan Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit more information?
I think
about
we all
that?
have a foundation in some shape or form. I started my foundation without actually doing any fundraising in South Central. So the way I was doing that is by rescuing the dogs the gang members will throw out in the street after they fight them. And many times we find dogs with gasoline and they light them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Rosemary and a dog with the eye out. And so I started rescuing dogs. And those are the dogs that actually helped me in the show and Dog Whisper, because I had 65.
Yeah.
65 dogs. And to me, I call it pay them forward. So I rescue them, I rehabilitate them, then they help another dog.
Yeah.
Right. So then people say, well, you know what? You should do fundraisings for that. You're right, because I'm wasting all the money that I make, and not wasting, but I'm using all the money that I'm making to pay for veterinarians, to pay for, I wouldn't charge people for adopting them, and all of that stuff that goes. Then we develop a beautiful foundation, but I also wanted to focus on education. That's my big goal in life. So I team up with Yale University, and I donated $1 million so we can create a curriculum. So this curriculum can be given to preschool and kindergarten. So kids learn how to be with a dog, that the assessment and things that I was telling you, and the no touch, no talk, no eye contact, and rescue dogs, spay, neuter campaign. Because kids at that age, 2 to 3, they don't understand breed.
That's true.
They're all dogs, right? And so what they're looking for is how to relate with them.
Yeah.
So if you give that information at an early age, next generation America is going to be perfectly fine with dogs.
Yeah.
So that was it. Then they grew up into elementary, high school, and now it's going to higher places. And we're very happy about it, because kids are learning empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
And it has helped them a lot to become more pack oriented. You know what I mean? To actually understand when somebody is not feeling well, instead of bullying them, to help them.
Yeah. Uplift them.
Uplift them. And so that's how we're gonna stop bullying. Because they're going to learn to recognize that kid doesn't feel right. It's not that he's weak, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And so if you enter into empathy, then instead of trying to bully him, you're going to help him. That makes you a pack leader. You know what I mean? Instead of the bully. So that's that. And then in America, we kill 4 to 5 million dogs a year. As you know, in America, we have a good taxpayer system.
Yeah.
So we all participate on the euthanization. It takes $100 per dog to be euthanized. So we're spending $400 million a year. You see, so if we don't adopt spay neuter campaigns, we're going to keep spending that money.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So we all, in a way, participate on that.
Yeah.
And so then the foundation also focuses on rescue, rehab, and rehome. Right? Mm-hmm. So those are 3 things that we are trying to help America to stabilize themselves.
Well, it's a great program, and I encourage people to, if people want to get involved with it with you, can they just contact you directly?
Yeah, they can contact the Millan Foundation.
Millan Foundation.
Yeah, and they can go on our website, CesarsWay.com, and to me, it's not about adopting a dog, but adopting the philosophy of helping. You don't have to help my foundation; just help any foundation, because they're all looking for that type of help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're just using the funds for education. if it's no education, we're not gonna solve the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just we're just gonna keep giving money to people, and they're gonna keep breeding, and it's gonna keep being dogs. No, we need to adopt. If we can actually pass the law of legalize marijuana, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, I'm
we
with you on
pass
that,
a lot
yeah.
of laws.
Yeah.
Okay, why we don't pass the law of spay neuter?
I agree.
It actually
Yeah.
solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. And then you mentioned you also are doing a lot of tours and teaching people on proper rehabilitation practices. I feel like I grew up to kind of watching Daddy and Junior, and now Junior is the big guy. He's like the strong guy. Is he on the tours with you? Does he ever go with you? And
It's mandatory for me to bring Junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like-
People want to see Junior. If Junior is not on stage, it's 80% of the show is not right.
I'm waiting for Junior to have his own show, his own spinoff.
That's right. He has his own fan club.
He does have his own fan club. I
God,
saw that.
yes. And the funny part is, it's a VIP moment, right? So at the end of the show, people pay extra so they can take pictures with Junior.
I love it.
Hey, look, I'm just holding it for them. You know, I'm the PA of Junior right there.
And you've had such a great career, and it's continuing to go on. What would you like to do next? I mean, I know that you got TV, you have books, you're doing speaking engagements. What would you like to do next? Like,
I want to open dog
next?
psychology centers in every single state. You know, dog psychology center is a place where you come and learn about dogs.
Okay.
It's not necessarily where the dog is rehabilitated. It's even before you get a dog, you learn about a dog. You know, and then you learn about what kind of energy dog is compatible to your family.
Yeah.
Right? So that way you actually enter like a dog city and you have a visual of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Right? So at least you know, because most people have the greatest intention, but they don't have the right knowledge.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have the right knowledge, you're going to develop the wrong emotion. And then that dog is going to end up in the pound again.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I want to stop the cycle by giving people a place where they can become educated. I mean, you can't drive a car without going through the whole DMV, right? So we all have to learn, you know, what's right, what's wrong. And with a dog, have to be the same. It's not about controlling human; it's about educating human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because it's education, we're all going to be doing the right thing, and so we're going to prevent fights. We're going to prevent blaming breeds.
Mm-hmm.
We will take full responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal in life. So that for me is, I don't want LA to be the only place that have a dog psychology center. I want every state of America to have his own, in every part in the world.
Well, I'm sure that people would love that. I mean, just to learn how to properly rehabilitate your dog or just properly train your dog would be unbelievable in different states. And if you had one word to define your career to date, what would it be?
One word to define my career today. I think the guy that brought common sense to the dog world. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because my clients are Harvard graduate, but they can't walk a Chihuahua. My client said, my dog is my baby, but it wants to kill a dog.
Yeah.
My clients will say, my dog is my soulmate, but he doesn't like my husband. Why he doesn't like my husband?
Yeah.
You see, because they prioritize the dog.
Yeah.
So it's three worlds: intellectual world, emotional world, spiritual world. What I bring is common sense.
Yeah.
It's really nothing to it,
Yeah.
you know. But many times common sense is not so common, because we focus more on the intellectual world, because that's what money exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we prioritize what we call success, material, you know, power, fame. But my clients live in those three. The dogs don't know they live with a famous person, wealthy person, or they have all this wealth.
Yeah, they don't care.
No, they don't know, and they don't care. Actually, that's why they can live with a homeless people, with a homeless person without a problem. You know, actually, homeless person has awesome relationship with dogs. You know, you can see in Venice, especially, because that's where most of the homeless with pit bulls hang out.
Mm-hmm.
From 10 homeless, you will see 9 out of them with a pit bull off leash, pushing the car. The dog is in the back.
I do see a lot of pit bulls.
That's
now that
right.
You say that. Now that I think about that.
That's
You're
right. Yeah, people only see like the car, the homeless, and the dog. They don't even know what dog, right? Because it's in the back calmly, so it doesn't create chaos in your brain. But when you see, like, if you step out of that, you will see breeds. And over there, you just see a homeless with a dog. But it's a pit bull. Off leash.
Off leash. And
That's
all they
right.
need is their love.
No, not just love. Exercise.
That's true, yeah.
Exercise.
That's why my
discipline.
dog's crazy. Because
Exercise, discipline, affection. Discipline is rules, boundaries, limitations. You know, discipline is not punishment.
Yeah.
You know, discipline is not consequence. Actually, if you don't have discipline, you will gain weight. Yeah. Right. So what is trainers? What does Jillian Michael tell you? You need to have discipline. you already have a consequence, right? So then we enter into rules, boundaries, limitations, what to eat, what not to eat, when to exercise, how to have self-control. All of that is discipline, right? So that's for the mind. So you have an orientation of what's expected of you. Exercise, discipline, affection.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what they need. They don't just need affection. The reason why I have a show is because that's all they get, affection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The affection and toys and food on the floor, and he can eat anything they want. You know what I mean? 3 beds. They're going to go see Santa Claus and things like that. It's like it's crazy. If the iPhone of people, I would say 1,000 of the pictures are a dog and 2 is the husband.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I get so many Christmas cards from people that is just a family dog versus the family.
You go to people's home, and in my case, it's the pictures of the dog when he was a puppy, when he was an adolescent, when he was St. Patrick's Day, and I mean, you would think about it, the whole thing, and there's the picture of the dog. So it has a lot of meaning, but because it has a lot of meaning, we also have to honor their identity. You see what I mean? And so that way, to me, that's the way to love a dog. That you honor who he is, that you fulfill his needs.
Yeah.
And once you do that, he achieve balance and harmony. That is the most amazing relationship you will ever have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't require money. That's why homeless people can have a dog. It's not about money, right?
That's true.
The funny part is, handicapped people make dogs normal, and normal people make dogs handicapped. Handicapped people, blind people, people with disabilities, can walk a dog better than a person that can see.
Wow.
Yeah. So why? Because they're feeling, they're not seeing.
They're not seeing.
Yeah. So they're not focusing in things that distract them. They're actually staying. It's almost like a yoga moment, like a meditation moment.
Yeah.
It's all about breathing, right? And so they become one. My clients are not one. The dog is somewhere else. My human is on the iPhone.
And what do you think about like this phenomenon? And especially, we're in the West Coast, and there's a phenomenon of just people having all these strollers for their dogs. They're not walking their dogs. It's almost like the dog is the accessory now.
Yeah.
And what is your viewpoint about that?
It's good for economy.
Yeah,
right. It's great for economy. Yeah. It obviously makes people spend. But like I say, normal people make dogs handicapped.
Yeah.
Because I understand, like in an older dog that has arthritis and a stroller moment time or the flyer,
the flyer,
that makes sense because you want him to go and smell, right? You want him to have an adventure of scent. But the dogs are perfectly fine, like the 4 months of age, 6 months of age, a year old, and they don't have any physical problems. That's how you make them handicapped.
Yeah, that's true.
You see what I mean? Because they don't move. So if you put them in the floor, they freeze.
They don't know how to react.
They don't know how to move. They don't know how to react. They never touch the floor. They're super clean, but there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is like the spirit went away kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just they're babies, but he's not being himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just serve a purpose to somebody else, but nobody served the purpose of you being you. Yeah. So how do you feel if you don't get to be you? Lost.
That's true.
Yeah. It's just that becomes an accessory.
It becomes an accessory.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I've learned so many great tips today that I need to start over with my dog, I think, at this point. I need to just take some of these tools, take them home and rehabilitate my dog, or maybe rehabilitate myself, I think, maybe more like it. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. And how can fans find you on social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter?
Well, everybody can go to CesarsWay.com, and if you have any questions, I love to see videos. Because a lot of people have questions, but when I see the video, it's actually better because I get to see what the dog is saying, not what you're interpreting it. You know what I mean? So I want to get it from the dog perspective. So a lot of people needs help, even though I repeat the same thing. But we want to create a community so people can actually feel safe and get the help they need. Before they thinking about we got to get rid of the dog, and we have to get rid of perception first.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Thank you for watching Spotlight On. Be sure to check out Cesar's show every Friday night at 9 p.m. on Nat Geo Wild channel. I will be there. I'm obsessed with the episodes already, and I will continue to watch them and learn. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.